Hello everyone, this afternoon on the marketplace, economy and jobs lead top issues for voters in the upcoming general elections in December as fresh data for global InfoAnalytics put economy first in its recent polling report. We'll break it down for you. Also coming up, Ghana wins mandate to develop a consistent policy document for the governance of data among African countries.
Out of the AU data policy framework, Ghana won the flagship as the flagship nation to develop the blueprint for the data governance of the African continent.
And Israel's tech startup sector has an outsized global influence. We'll bring you a special report from that country and what lessons Ghana as a developing country can learn from Israel's experience.
For those who believe in the power of innovation and the promise of creative destruction to advance economic development and lead to better quality of life, technology is a vital economic driver.
My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. Currency. Well, first up, Ghana has won the mandate to develop a consistent policy document for the governance of data among African countries. This will mean that Ghana has the responsibility of working on a new strategy to describe how data should be used by stakeholders in a uniform approach across the region. Chief Executive of the Data Protection Commission, Patricia Opoku-Edu, said disclosed this to journalists after addressing a validation workshop on data strategy.
The validation meeting, which was organized by the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, together with the Data Protection Commission, seeks to collate views on a data strategy which is being developed for the country and subsequently the African region. This move is aimed at shaping the nation's data-driven future. Ghana has therefore won the mandate to develop and implement this strategy for other governments in the continent to learn from. Executive Director for the Data Protection Commission, Patricia Opoku-Edu, believes that the strategy will receive cabinet approval soon.
The data we use must be of a certain format, certain categorization, must be standardized. There has to be a consistency of approach so that how Ghana is using it will be the same way Nigeria is using it, the same way Kenya is doing their data management, and so on and so forth. And so, out of the AU data policy framework, Ghana won the flagship as the flagship nation to develop the blueprint for the data governance of the African continent. What that is we've documented the regional document that details how data should be governed and used in the region. And out of that, now African countries are developing customizing it for their national use. Ghana is now, from the regional blueprint, now customizing it for the Ghana data strategy, which we are working on today.
Deputy Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Charles Champon, on behalf of the government, pledged the country's support to the strategy and assured of the ministry's full commitment.
And all institutions managing key data assets to join us in this important endeavor. We hope that your deliberation will be fruitful and will be able to deliver the planned strategy as soon as possible. We assure you of the ministry's commitment to this project and hope we have a good working document.
After the stakeholders' engagement, the document will be forwarded to the partners for an input before final approvals.
Now, Chief Executive of the African Cybersecurity and Digital Rights Organization, Kenneth Edu Amanfo, has indicated that Ghana's digitalization agenda should be driven by collaboration between the private and public sectors. He explains that the agenda should not be primarily fueled by only the service sector, with minimal contributions from the industrial and agri sectors. He spoke to Joy Business at the 5th Annual Ghana SIG event.
The event aims to promote awareness and understanding of internet governance issues among stakeholders, including government agencies, civil society organizations, academia, and the private sector.
The world is moving towards a digital age, and we are always there. You've seen most countries that are, embarking on digital drive, and Ghana, for instance, is doing that. We've seen our Ministry of Communication embarking on that drive. We've seen the Cybersecurity Authority also embarking on that drive. I think that it's a collaborative effort. Government cannot do it all by itself. The academia cannot do it by itself. The private sector cannot do it by itself. It's a collaborative effort. All the different stakeholders have a unique role to play in all contributing to shape this digital landscape. So it's important government plays its part. It's important that the academia plays its part, but building capacity in terms of our youth, especially that are coming up. And the private sector that are technologically experts, we need them also because they run the infrastructure.
Founder and president for the Governance and Internet Governance Foundation for Africa, Raymond Mamata, reiterated the need for such initiatives.
The E-Governance and Internet Governance Foundation for Africa, simply called EGICFA, is a civil society organization that is mainly into internet governance and e-governance space. So we are organizing the Ghana School on Internet Governance Fellowship because we realized that we don't have enough people engaging in the internet governance space in Ghana. Reason we started this fellowship 5 years ago to empower a range of multi-stakeholder entity members to engage, because internet governance has a lot of stakeholders that everybody must play their critical roles in it.
Now, Israel's tech startup sector has an outsized global influence, but remains held back by major political and structural issues. To understand Israel's position as a technology pioneer and how a developing country like Ghana can learn from them, my colleague Emma Davis was in Tel Aviv and engaged some key stakeholders in the tech space.
Technologies are becoming increasingly complicated and interconnected. Cars, airplanes, medical devices, financial transactions, and electricity systems all rely more on computer software than ever before. Technology can be a source of tremendous optimism. It can help overcome some of the society's greatest challenges, including climate change, farming, and diseases. For those who believe in the power of innovation and the promise of creative destruction to advance economic development and lead to better quality of life, technology is a vital economic driver. But it can also be a tool of tremendous fear and oppression, embedding biases in automated decision-making processes and information processing algorithms, exacerbating economic and social inequalities within and between countries to a staggering degree, or creating new weapons and avenues for attack. This led to the development of cybersecurity, a distinct field throughout the 1960s and 70s, which exploded into the public consciousness in the late 1980s after a series of events that highlighted just how dangerous lack of security could be. Israel has earned a reputation in recent years as a tech powerhouse. It has the second highest concentration of high-tech companies in the world after Silicon Valley and the largest number of startups per capita in the world. But how did a state with only 9 million inhabitants become a technology giant and a favorite destination for tech multinationals? Let's take a listen to Executive Director of Cyber7, Daniel Martin, as he explains the initiatives implemented to have gotten the country to this stage.
First of all, if we're talking about the economy, okay, here in Israel, so the leading category, I would say, in the high-tech scene here in Israel is cybersecurity. Now, once you know you're strong in that, you need to make sure not to stay at the top, but not to be at the top, but to stay there. And I think that we helped a lot of Israeli startups and companies and connecting them to investors and potential customers. So we helped closing a lot of deals very easily, something that never happened before. That was we working in the name of the government, and for the private sector, it's really innovative that there's kind of an entity that helps them with no fee involved. So the Israeli industry has a lot to offer. Now, once there's a country or foreign government that actually wants to launch any project regarding cybersecurity, if it's education, training, establishing a national SOC or something like that, Cyber7 can advise and help them find the right partners to do that.
The big question is, where does Africa stand in the evolving technological sector? Here is Chief Executive Officer of Israel Innovation Authority, Drew Bin, outlining how he believes Africa would benefit from the technology and cybersecurity space.
In a sense, maybe Africa has an opportunity to leap jump here because many of the continent infrastructure is behind. So instead of going through all the stages that in other countries had to go, you can jump straight ahead to the most innovative solutions and leverage those amazing developments. To be frank, I'm not an expert about Africa and the capabilities in the countries there, but for sure you have to be ready for AI. It's not something that you just take and implement like that. You have to have the right regulation in place to make sure that AI is not used against people and against human rights and privacy and so on. You have to have the right infrastructure in the country in terms of data centers and computers, the right volume of energy supply. So there are some necessities before you can implement fully the benefits of AI.
For Joy Business, I am Emma Davis reporting from Tel Aviv, Israel.
All right, it's a Thursday. Welcome back from Israel. Time to mix some politics with business. And the economy and top jobs lead top issues for voters in the upcoming general elections in December. Now, fresh data from Global InfoAnalytics put the economy first in the recent polling report. Our lead data analyst with Joy News, Isaac Ofeji, joins me in the studio with a breakdown. And so it's interesting. What do we find out from the report?
Well, so economy is big from the Global InfoAnalytics report. This is not the first time they are doing this polling or survey. They started way back last year where they've been doing some great work on the upcoming election and also in the primaries. But in the 2024 election, they asked voters a very simple question. What issue or which issue will be your top priority in the upcoming election? And you can see on your screens the economy. It takes about 73%.
You know, we're talking about it recently, wondering what are the top issues for voters, and appears 73%.
Absolutely. I mean, all the issues we mentioned, the debt restructuring, inflation, monetary policy rate, all of it can be found in the economy. But for the ordinary Ghanaian, possibly it will not be about the GDP growth rate. It will not be about, you know, the hard economic figures, but they want the felt economy. So from our own GDP growth rate and what have you, what is the felt economy? They want to see that the 100 cities that they are holding, they can afford this amount of goods. Their you know, salary, 3,000, 4,000 or 5,000 cities. Some even earn as low as even, let's say, 800 cedis or even 400 cedis. If you look at the public service in terms of the least workers' salary. All these people are looking at the upcoming election and they want, you know, that the purchasing power of their salary should stay the same. For them, that is the felt economy. It goes beyond the hard figures of the GDP growth rate and what have you. But what the economic indicator that is a hard figure and at the same time a soft figure is inflation, because the first tax on anybody's salary is inflation. It's an invincible tax on anybody's salary. Currently, it's around 23%. And so voters will be looking at some of these issues. In the felt economy, what are they really feeling in terms of the economy? So economy is followed by jobs, 69%. Education is 50%. There's roads. We had some time ago, year of roads and what have you. Healthcare is 24%. It's interesting how people are choosing jobs over healthcare, but it's important.
The unemployment crisis in the country, yeah, people are looking for jobs, and so, I mean, it's understandable. And also interesting, they asked them about taxes, petroleum prices, which are also very much on the minds of voters.
Some time ago, the e-levy was a big deal in terms of talking about how issues will influence voters' decision. But if you look at it this way, in terms of taxes versus economy, you could see that generally people are concerned about the general well-being of the Ghanaian economy, how they feel in terms of their disposable income, in terms of their purchasing power, in terms of bills and the rate at which prices increase. I feel that these in the felt economy are what people are really interested in. They possibly are looking out for the party that has realistic campaign policies to address some of these things.
And really, you can't separate the taxes from the economy. I mean,
intertwined.
Intertwined. And so, like you point out, people are looking for ideas, solutions. What are the political parties? What ideas are they offering?
I mean, if you look at the two big political parties, which is the NDC and the NPP, in terms of what they are bringing on board, everybody seems to be focusing so much on the economy, and this survey actually depicts what's going on the grounds. If you look at something like the 24-hour economy versus the blue economy, so 24-hour economy from the NDC, blue economy from the NPP, which of these issues are actually going to solve the felt economy? Are people going to really feel the impact? And beyond that, most of them have some interesting policies on the economy. The NPP, for instance, are campaigning with a message of flat rate tax in terms of taxes. The NDC, on the other hand, are saying that there are some taxes that are currently in place they feel are nuisance taxes, and they are going to remove it. And interestingly, both Dr. Baumia and then John Dramani Mahama are all saying that they will review the e-levy, which is supposed to bring in some 7 billion Ghana cedis, but looking at the current figures, it's below even 600 million cedis annually. All of them are saying they are going to review it. And, you know, Alain Chamantin and Cheddar also have some interesting economic solutions and for the country. We've seen Alain Chamantin putting out his great transformational plan, and in there you can find some interesting economic policies for the country and things that they feel that can help the ordinary Ghanaian move from the current ordeal to a place where they are disposable.
Yeah, and if you're a political party, what should you be doing with this information? You know, we're talking about running mates. Very soon we'll talk to Latif Idris because he has some news from the MPP's camp about the running mate, and the fact that we don't see the focus so much on the economy as it is. And so what should the political parties be doing, and how should they be reacting to this poll?
I mean, I think they've started reactions already, reacting to some of these polls. They are aware. If you go to Parliament, for instance, both parties changed their leadership. For instance, the NDC changed from Haruna Idrisu to Keso Latofosin, who was the former Deputy Finance Minister. Economy was the main focus. We've also seen in the NPP that, say Chairman Sabonsu was changed, and we brought in somebody like, Martins, Afenyo Martins, who is also supposed to tackle some of these things. So, I mean, they are all looking at these things already. And in terms of the running mates, the last time we spoke about the perfect pair, Usually used to be the running mate who is supposed to come in as the head of the economic management team. So
right.
both parties usually would choose from somebody with an economic background. But if you look at the NPP, for instance, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is already an economist and possibly will be choosing somebody who may not be an economist. Mahama has headed the economic management team before. He's choosing somebody who is an educationist. So although economy is a big issue in this survey, in the 2024 election, in terms of the pairing, the running mate and what have you, both parties, what we used to know traditionally, is changing. Looking at the current ticket that both parties are presenting, MPP presenting Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is already an economist. He's also going to choose from somebody who is possibly not an economist. So the dynamics are changing, and this year election will be very interesting.
And the business community is watching. We've got some running mate news for you. My colleague Latif Idris has some reporting on what would be the choice for the running mate of the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So Latif, what are you hearing?
Yeah, made the declaration a few minutes ago here in the central region. The GPRC is holding a program here ahead of Friday's elections for their national executive. And the vice president is the keynote speaker. In fact, he just finished delivering his speech and is left back to the national capital. So right before he dug into the main speech, he explained to the executives and the members of the GPRTU that today is a special day for him in his political career because he will be mentioning the name of his running mate to the National Council of the party. But he deemed it fit to attend this particular event because of the history he has with regards to working as a taxi driver when he traveled outside of the country during his early days, struggling in life and all of that. So he finds himself as a member or ex officio, that's what he used, of the GPRTU. So he had to attend this particular event before he goes to meet with the National Council to unveil the name of his running mate to them. So we know that it's official today. By end of day today, the National Council will be told who will be partnering the vice president ahead of the December 7th election.
All right, thanks for that update. So Latif Idris there. Quick thoughts as you wrap up?
Well, I mean, I think the running mates issue goes beyond just economy. It goes beyond just looking at somebody who can bring you numbers, but also you are looking at the long run because we've seen the transitioning from vice president to president. So I think that both parties are really particular about that. They may want to choose somebody who can transition the party from, power to power. I mean, from vice presidency to main presidency. So it's good for the MPP, for instance. This is the first time that they will be choosing a running mate who may not be from the northern region.
Right.
Because it's always been, the main person coming from the south and then the running mate coming from the north. This time around, the main person is from the north, and so the party will be heading south to choose the running mate. We've heard a number of names, and we know that by today, the meeting will conclude, and possibly by the early part of next week, we should have a name out, and the game will start. Both parties will have their running mates, and I think that the game will start from there.
And the business community is watching. Thank you so
absolutely.
much. Lead data analyst here at Joy News, Isaac Ofeje. Now, the Fisheries and Aquaculture Development Ministry has begun supplying relief items to fishing communities to cushion them in this year's close season. The ministry closed the fishing season to artisanal fishers for a month and 2 months for industrial trawlers in their bid to rebuild the fish stock that's on the decline. Speaking at Elmina, Sector Minister Mavis Howe Comson advised the fishers to desist from using unauthorized means to catch fish since it contributes to the decline of fish stock.
The minister on the 1st of July performed a ceremony at Discov in the Western region to close the season for fishers. The closed season marks a period where artisanal fishers will suspend fishing for a month, while their counterparts, the industrial trawlers, would observe the season for 2 months. Fisheries Minister Mavis Howe Comson has been moving from one fishing community to the other, supporting them with relief items.
So we are here to distribute the relief items that we always support them with. We have, assured them that whenever there's close season, official close season, we will support them with some relief items. And the relief items are rice and oil. That's what we used to do. But today, thankfully, we have garnished it by adding tin tomatoes and canned fish to the oil and the rice. Of course, we know we normally give the women to basins and then wire mesh for the processing of the fish. So that one too has been given to them. Last year when we observed the close season, our development partners, that's GFRA, Ghana Fishery Recovery Activity, they supported us with livelihood empowerment projects, and they trained about 5,000 youths from the fishing community. This year they have promised to give us about 8,000 in addition, and we know that is not enough. So the ministry itself is also collaborating, adding to what the GFRA is doing. So this year we are going to give them sewing machines, and then dryers, that's hair dryers, barbering kits, to support them with their livelihood empowerment.
She won the fishers to complement government efforts aimed at replenishing the fish stock by putting to an end all illegal methods of fishing.
And they have seen that the fish stock is almost completely depleted. And so what do we do to rebuild it? And this is one of the measures we can do. Not only the close season, we are not doing only the close season as a measure. We are also telling them to stop using monofilament. That's the unauthorized fishing nets. They should also stop using chemicals in fish harvest. They should stop using dynamite in blasting the sea. And so we'll continue to educate them. Thankfully, the ministry is acquiring patrol boats to patrol on the high seas.
The fishers are urging the ministry to help legislate Tuesdays that have traditionally been designated as non-fishing days. The basis is that even though fishers are traditionally barred from going fishing on Tuesdays, there is a growing practice of some defying the traditional norm to go fishing on Tuesday.
All right, and that's our program this afternoon. A quick run through what's trending on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Ghana's purchasing managers index dips, but business confidence strong. S&P Global also good to calls for immediate withdrawal of 5% excise tax on plastic manufacturing companies. myjoyonline.com/business for the day's latest stories. Thanks for watching.